Okay, video number 2. All right, 8 over 12 plus or minus 2I root 14 over 12. And then what's 8 over 12? What's 8 over 12? 2, come on guys, 2 over 3, then plus or minus 1I root 14 over 6. So it looks a little different. It's not. When you separate these into two separate fractions, one of the fractions reduces a little further. No, you can't go over here and cancel the 4 and the 6. So if you're going to write it as one big expression, all over 6. So I actually know the difference. I'm glad that happened. Sorry about missing the I there. Because I got hit in the eye. I like it. I. Okay, that's enough. All right, now I told you. No, I didn't. Okay, so here we go. Now go ahead and read this. You don't have to write all that. This is just for maybe my purposes of reading you a little story about the quadratic formula. Okay, so when you encounter a quadratic equation or function that is difficult to factor or unable to factor. Do you remember number 7 from a couple worksheets ago? / you did it on a piece of paper. Do you remember that? And we couldn't answer it, right? We just had to leave it. Well, now we can answer it. We won't, but that's the point. You already ran into this problem, and you're like, what do I do? Well, now you can do something. You can use the quadratic formula. Now, sadly, in a way, I would love to be able to prove how this actually happens. But what form is that? We should know that. 3, 2, 1, go. Standard. So you got to be in standard form, so it's got to be equal to 0, and then ax squared bxc. And then the process, believe it or not, but the process is called completing the square. We actually could have had a choice to solve through completing the square, but it really isn't useful in quadratics. It's the worst way to solve a quadratic, so we always leave it out. But then later, completing the square has some value in some other stuff, and we'll come back to it. But what I'm blathering about is, if I complete the square on this formula results. And just trust me. Here's the bottom line. There is no I don't get it. Right? I always get students, I just don't get it. Well, it's just the quadratic formula. So you either make a choice of memorizing it or not. There is no I don't get it. It's just like learning a definition. Here's the word. Here's its definition. I don't get it. It's just the definition. You need to memorize it so that you know this word is associated with this definition. Then you move on. So this is going to be something you have to have memorized by Wednesday for sure. Did I tell you Wednesday we're going to have a quiz? Did I throw that out there yet with you? I'm not even going to see you Tuesday. Yeah? Okay, this is pretty much it. I'm going to do a little extra stuff on Monday with a little review after that with a worksheet. So it actually is tied into the quadratic formula Monday. Hey, as a memorization tool, are you ready? This is going to be fun. Where is it? Yay. And this is on... Hey, and then I thought, you know what? Maybe the students are sick of me. Maybe they just don't like me and don't want to listen to my abrasive voice. I also put another quadratic formula video there from somebody else. So you can look at that and see someone else do a representation of it. But here's really what I find valuable. Are you ready? You're going to be singing this all day long, believe me. Anyone? Feel free to dance. X is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root. He's going. Nice. Got some rhythm there. Cover your nose. Thank you. I have to tell him that every day. He never covers. He's always like this. X is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac. Got some more people dancing. All day long. We missed the Friday song today. At least you got the quadratic formula song. Negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Here it comes, the big crescendo. X is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Yay! Some people look like they're going to throw up. That's awesome. Okay, so anyway, no excuses. You memorize it. All right, here we go. I heard someone just sigh like, ugh. I'm stuck in this class till May. Yep, you are. Too bad. Okay, so anyway, is that in standard form, yes or no? Now, I'm going to show you something. This is actually factorable. I actually thought it wasn't going to be. So you might The quadratic formula does create some steps, but if it's factorable, you probably should go ahead and factor. If you're a good factor, it will be faster to solve this. Why do I know it's factorable? Well, A, I did this first hour. I was surprised. But B, it's a simple MA. MA is negative 2 times 9. I really don't like having a negative leading coefficient. Probably what I would have done is multiply both sides by negative 1 to factor. I just like that. But do we have a set of numbers that multiply to negative 18 and add to negative 3? Yes or no? Actually, we do. What are the two numbers? Someone raise their hand. Boom. You got to switch them, right? Because your sum is negative. So it's negative 6 and 3. So that means it's factorable, but I'm not going to factor. What I'm going to show you is when we do the quadratic formula, you're going to get nice numbers or fractions, no square root left over. It's going to simplify very nicely. So I do want to make that point. This is factorable, but then watch what happens when I use the quadratic formula. So here we go. The opposite of b plus or minus. I'm not as good as the guys on the video. Plus or minus the square root. All right, now I'm going to tell you right now. I yelled on this on purpose. I swear to dog how many people put the wrong number next because they're a button pushing bum and they copy their screen. So you know what happens when you put negative 3 squared on your calculator and then press enter? What do you get? What does the calculator spit out? Negative 9. I think I showed this in class already with you guys. And it drives me crazy. Because what's a negative times a negative? These are the students that, like the factoring still being a problem, like they try to force that factoring, but they miss a step. We're robots, all right? We don't think about the math and don't make sense out of our answers. We just want to memorize a process or just copy the screen off the calculator. Don't think when they write answers. So I swear to dog, this happens way too much that people put negative 9 there. Drives me nuts. Anyway, let's move on. Okay, let's go back to this R. The opposite b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac. I'm a little off on there. All over to a. It's so much fun. And there's my pen not activating. Right, so that's where all the numbers go. Now you understand why I did what the bell work was and what you did 2 worksheets ago. All right, we had to simplify this and make sure we had our order of operations correct. So I did write the opposite of b just to prove that this is a positive. And then, please be quick with this. 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. Negative 8 times 9 is negative 72. And I guess I didn't write this last hour. But another mistake people make is losing like negatives, not understanding this becomes what? What does this become? Plus. And it's 9 plus 72. All right, so that's other mistakes that just can't be made. You got to be good with your order of operations. And there you go. It's exactly what I said. What's the square root of 81, everyone? 9. This ends up working out very nicely. It's because it's factorable. That's why we're going to get nice answers that don't have a radical anymore. And then what you do is 3 plus 9, which is 12. 3 minus 9, which is negative 6. And then you simplify each answer. Wrong. I had that flipped in my head. 3 halves. If you were to factor this, I wish I would have multiplied by a negative both sides. If I did, this would be plus plus negative. And if that were the case, then I could tell you what this is in factored form. If negative 3 is a 0, x plus 3 is a factor. Right? Okay, I didn't get much response from that, but that's okay. If 3 halves is a 0, then add 3 divided by 2. 2x plus 3 is a factor. Okay, so that's if this was the factorization. If we would have multiplied by a negative, then MA would work, and so on and so on and so forth. Okay, let's speed it up. We do 4 examples because these said wrong. These said simplified radical form. I'll go back up to there. Exact simplified form. Exact means you leave the radical alone. Okay, so I just wanted to make a point of that. Okay, and then let's get chugging away here with the formula here. The opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b. B squared minus 4ac. Now, I'm not some math whiz. I don't have 18 squared memorized. I had to ask last hour, but I remember what they told me. So 18 squared is 324. Double check that. Just want to make sure my mind, can someone hit their buttons on the calculator? All over to a, nobody. It's so much fun, all the help I get. Nobody's going to take 18 squared. Look at this class. I just punched me in the eye like that student yesterday. Who cares? All right, what's negative times a negative? What's a negative times a negative? Then I'm going to ask you for the calculator, so help me out. Positive. So this is 324 minus this. Can you do that? It ends up being a number less than 324. Because of space, I'll write this up here. So the opposite of b, which is still negative 18, plus or minus square root of. So what's 324 minus 4 times 3 times 7? Really, I can ignore the negatives. 21 and 7, 1. Oh, I can't even think. What is it? 240. I think that's what we got last hour. Okay, good. Thank you. All right. So off to the side, I would take 240. Maybe I'd do this. 240 is 24 times 10. Now, this is why I'm going to do this next, because I already got it. All right. But, and I bet you many of you got it already. I'm not going to do 4 times 6 on 24. I'm going to do 8 times 3. The reason is, what's 10? What's 10? 2 and 5. I could imagine this in the future, that what's 2 times 8? I got a 16 in here. Okay, so whatever you need to do to get the biggest perfect square, you do it. If you want to just keep dividing by 2 and have this long, obnoxious tree, go for it. All right? Don't have an I number. Don't be making up I numbers when they're not there. There is no square root of a negative. But I got 16 times, and then 3 times 5 is 15. So I get the leftovers that are not. And then if you're not sure, take 16 times 15 real quick and make sure that it is 240. It is. Okay, so I'm good. And then everybody, what's the square root of 16? Say it. See, I don't understand. I had goofballs last year. Again, those people that write negative 9 squared as negative 81. Also, goofballs that don't know how to simplify this. It's not hard. I get this product down to some perfect square, and you square root the perfect square. The stuff that's not a perfect square is stuck in jail. Don't know what else to tell you. All right, we're moving on. All right, if you can't simplify this, it's you. It's you. And then if you want to do the way that I said here before, the biggest thing they have in common is 2, right? 4 and 6 only have 2 in common. So you can divide everything by 2 if you want to write it like this. It does give me something different when I won't say different. It does give me something different looking when I separate this into 2 separate fractions. What's 18 divided by 6? What's the answer to that? I ignored the negatives. 3. Look at how I'm writing that. Another way you could write this is simplify 2 separate fractions and write them as 2 separate fractions. 4 over 6 is still 2 over 3. And then root 15. It's kind of funny with the plus minus. This negative is kind of meaningless. But you still want to write it as over negative 3. I don't want to get into it any further than that. Okay? Got it? All right, 2 more, but here's the big deal here. The big deal is let's round to the nearest hundredth now and just practice this a couple more times. So notice the last one, I didn't do this. It wasn't factorable. I didn't do an MA, though. I'm sorry, but we'll go to this one. There is absolutely no MA that exists for 11 and negative 7. So this is absolutely not factorable, just like the last one. And the last one's not factorable because we had a radical answer. The first one was factorable, and we had a nice whole number and a fraction answer. So do understand that relationship there. And then what's nice about this is these numbers are small. I swear to dog, if you write -49 in here, I should kick you out of class. You're gone. All right? That should not happen. And then -4AC. Sorry for not singing. And now look at this. Now my thing's doing something even more fun. Right? And then disappear. Not right. Oh, these are the reasons I want to retire. I really do. The programs that I use are getting worse and worse and worse in functionality. I really want to go back to the chalkboard. I'm ready. May spend my last year of my career just doing whiteboards and not doing a computer. 4 times 11 is 44. 49 minus 44 is 5. All right, so that's fun. We don't have to do much. I will show you something on the calculator, though. I'm not going to write these answers, but I will show you this. This is actually faster. This is actually faster than accessing the fraction button and faster than accessing parentheses. I'm going to take 7 plus root 5. Wait, Mr. Samuelis, you didn't do parentheses, which you're supposed to. I'm going to press enter right now. I'm going to get the numerator done and then divide by 2. And I do this now forever because it is faster. It is faster to do it that way. And then I could take 7 minus root 5. 7 minus. I don't have to do any other extraneous buttons. I don't have to be searching for anything. Just know that I press enter and then divide by 2. Really is a good tool. So I got 4.61 and 2.38. Okay, and then you could write those decimals down. No big deal. All right, but you do what you want. You want to access that fraction button to make sure you're okay, fine. If you want to write it all at once, you have to do parentheses, run the 7 minus root 5. Your call. All right, no tricks there. 3x squared minus 9x. Finish this little party off here with this last one. Hey, by the way, what do they all have in common? What do they all have in common? 3. So please, actually, this makes your quadratic formula smaller with numbers that you're dealing with, but also you won't have to reduce as much or maybe not at all. You'll have a radical that doesn't simplify then, possibly. If you leave the 3 in, 3, 9, and 12, you'll definitely have to simplify the radical. You'll have a bigger product that actually something will come out. And then actually, this is useless because I can divide both sides by 3. What's 0 divided by 3? 0 still, right? So you can divide numbers and get rid of them and then deal with smaller numbers for the quadratic formula. By the way, it's tricky. I almost thought it was. Does this factor? Oh, and then someone said, yes, 4 and negative 4 and 1. What's negative 4 times 1? What's negative 4 times 1? Negative 4. It doesn't factor. Okay, so I just want to share that with you before I continue. The opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared. Okay, I'm doing something wrong with my tone. I got to listen to that song again. Opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac. Yeah, just not doing the song very well today. All over 2a. I do love that part. Okay. Number smaller now. All right, what's 4 times 4? What's 9 minus 16? Negative 7. What's the square root of a negative, everyone? I. Okay, but remember what the direction said. I want the fractional answer for this. So here's what you need to do for this. I'm sorry, wrong. The nearest hundredth answer. This is what you must do for that. You must separate these. You can't add 3 plus root 7. I is like a variable, so I can't put those together. No, you can't. By the way, what's 3 halves? I shouldn't have to go to the calculator for that. What's 3 halves? 1.5 plus or minus. Now I want to go to the calculator and just type square root of 7 divided by 2. Be careful. Is this correct? Square root of 7 square root of 7 divided by 2. Correct? Yes or no? No. Stop making silly mistakes. Okay? I can't help you when you do these things. And again, I'm going to do what I do. I'm just going to do the square root of 7 and then divide by 2. So get it done, and then 1.32. So then I write 1.32i. So it's that fraction times I. So that's why we take the whole fraction and get it as a decimal. Okay, good enough. Done. I'm going to stamp. Oh, what a day. What a lovely day.